بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us the sincere intentions. Today, inshallah, we're going to speak about the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah is the best day of the year. Just as the best night of the year is, MashaAllah, karaf. Low battery. Do we have another one of these? Anybody know? No? Yeah, okay. Right. So we'll start again, inshallah. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. We're talking about the day of Arafah today. The day of Arafah is the best day of the year. Just as the best day of the week is what? Friday, Al-Jumu'ah. The best night of the year is Laylatul Qadr. The best month of the year is Ramadan. Okay. Like that, the best day of the year is the day of Arafah. The day meaning from dawn to dusk. Okay, from the beginning of Fajr until Al-Maghrib when the sun sets. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala revealed about this day that there is a multiplication of the rewards that a person can receive. That's the first matter. The second matter is that a person could, because of the worship that they perform on this day, be saved from the fire of hell. That it would be on that day, because of a deed that they do, or the worship that they do, that it would have eternally been willed that they would then be saved from hellfire. They would not enter hellfire if they died as a Muslim, then they would be forgiven of their sins. This day is a day of making dua. And this day, it contains all of the above, the aforementioned matters. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala revealed a very, very special verse on the day of Arafah in the plains, or on the plains of Arafah, when the Prophet ﷺ performed the farewell Hajj, when the companions, they came with him from Al-Madinah to Mecca, and they performed Al-Hajj. When the Prophet ﷺ was in Mecca, and before returning to Al-Madinah, approximately, the scholars said, approximately 80 days before he passed away. So he was around 62 at this time, or 63, alayhi salatu wassalam. When he went for Al-Hajj, and he stood on the plains within the vicinity of Arafah during his Hajj, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala revealed, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. This ayah, Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu said that we know exactly exactly where the Prophet ﷺ was standing, exactly where he was on that Jumu'ah. It was Friday. On that Jumu'ah, we know exactly where the Prophet ﷺ was standing when this ayah was revealed to him, and it was the case that he was standing in the plains of Arafah. He was standing with the people performing al-Hajj in Arafah. And this verse, this amazing verse, was revealed to him. Allah revealed, "Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum," which means that the principal matters of the religion, the rules, the core parts of the religion that we go back to, the principal rules of the religion, they had been revealed. And this was a confirmation of that. So Allah revealed, Al-Yawm, on that day, what has happened on that Friday, Jumu'ah, in Arafah, during Al-Hajj, during Dhul-Hijjah, the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah, Allah revealed, Al-Yawma akmaltu, as though it said that your religion has been completed for you. The core rules have been revealed. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, and the favor that Allah has upon you, the great endowments that Allah has upon you, these have come, they have come to being complete in the way that the Quran was almost all of it by this time, almost all of it was revealed. There were some ayahs that remained. But by this time, most of the Quran had been revealed. So if you think about it, you take yourself back to the time of the companions, many of them had come out of idol worship. Many of them had come out of deeds that were considered evil deeds before embracing Islam. Allah Ta'ala brought them out of this darkness of injustice and kufr to al-Iman and belief. And then over a 23-year period, the rules were revealed to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. This 23-year period, the rules that were revealed within it, they would then remain for as long as Allah Ta'ala willed. So far, it's been about 1,400 years, and those rules, they still apply. And they are still being practiced by the Muslims. Yes, those that practice them fully, they are not many people. Although the people who are Muslims are many of them don't practice the rules of the religion, like many don't pray. But those rules are known, and the rules are taught to the young. So those rules are still alive in this sense. So this 23-year period was a grand, glorious, gracious, blessed period of time. And the companions, they felt it too. Because what used to happen was, some of the companions sometimes, they would do something at home. And they would go to the Prophet ﷺ, and there and then, revelation would come down. An ayah of the Quran. That this is the rule in this regard. That some people do this at home, for example. Or some people, they say this. Or some people act like this. And the rule would be revealed. And the person, the companion, who had just experienced that at home, he would be relieved, because he knows now right from wrong. He knows what's morally right and what's morally wrong, because the standard has been set. The rule has come down. And like that, over a 23-year period, the rules would come down. Blessings. And the companions, they would feel a tranquility with the Prophet ﷺ. Just having this feeling of, we used to be upon misguidance, and the Prophet ﷺ liberated us. The shackles have come off, the shackles of evil and being enslaved by kufr and worshipping stones. Now we worship Allah, al-Wahid al-Qahhar. We worship Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So they loved being with the Prophet ﷺ. And all of the things, so you think of the day the Prophet passed away ﷺ. The companions, they would then think about the things that the Prophet had said would occur in the future. Ad-Dajjal would come, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. People in the future, they would see the markets coming closer, lots and lots of markets. People becoming corrupt, people speaking about Islamic things but actually being misguided. All of these things, they would have thought, when is this going to happen? After the Prophet passed, alayhi salatu wassalam, how long will the rules last and be implemented? They knew the Quran would be protected because Allah revealed that in the Quran. وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Allah will protect the Quran. It will not be changed. People won't be able to pervert it, in that it will remain as it is. People will know what it is, even if they don't follow it. One of the companions once, or rather one of the people from the Salaf, from the early generations, perhaps 40 years after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was in an area in one of the Arab lands, and he saw that a person has built a second tier, a second floor on the house. Like a mud house, someone built a second floor. And it was a big thing. So then he remembered the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the Arabs in the future, some of them, the shepherds among the Arabs, they would compete to build high-rise buildings. And he was sure, he said, that's it there. Subhanallah. He said, that's it. Because it was not very known to them. Can you imagine? Imagine going 500 years back and telling a person in the street, do you know, in 500 years, there's going to be this big metal thing that you're going to be able to sit in, and this big metal thing is gonna fly around. Oh, they do. They probably think you're a magician, or they think you're a witch. They'd lock you up. They think you've lost it, right? People wouldn't have thought that these things could occur. The Prophet mentioned that, alayhi salatu wassalam, that in the future things will happen, and you will see them amazing, mesmerizing things you will hear of. And you will say, did the Prophet of Allah, did the Messenger of Allah mention such and such thing or not? So anyway, the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, when they were with him on the plains of Arafah, so many feelings going through their hearts, their minds, thoughts. Allah Ta'ala reveals, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. It is today that your religion is what? Kamil. Kamil meaning that most of what is to be revealed has been revealed. The end is near. Some of the companions felt that as well. They felt that, well, when the message is almost complete, then there is no need for a messenger. So he felt that the life of the Prophet ﷺ is coming towards an end. Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, he realized that the life of the Prophet ﷺ was coming to an end. So Allah revealed, وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. This blessing, an endowment that Allah bestowed, which is Islam. People used to bury their daughters, and Islam said this is haram. People used to engage in all sorts of obscenities, and Islam brought the marriage contract, and so on. Women used to be oppressed, they wouldn't be given any of the inheritance, and Islam said no, they have a share. So this really liberated people. So Allah revealed that this ni'mah, its revelation is almost complete. And Allah revealed, وَرَضِيتُ مِنَ الرِّضَى. Al-rida is acceptance and approval. Allah revealed about the approval of Allah. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمْ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا. That Allah has approved and accepted only Islam as a religion for you. Even though some religions were invented, they were invented after Islam. I don't know what they believe, but they call it Scientology. That's very recent actually. Even before that actually, and after the Prophet came, there were things that were invented. Perhaps new things that were worshipped. The only religion accepted by Allah is Islam, and it was revealed on that day, on the plains of Arafah, when the Prophet ﷺ was wearing the garments that the Hujjaj wear on Yawm al-Jumu'ah, blessing upon blessing. Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu said, we know when this ayah was revealed, we were looking at the Prophet ﷺ with him in Arafah. They were wearing their clothing. They had their heads uncovered like the men do, the Hujjaj. And he said it was Yawm al-Jumu'ah. One of the Jews said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of the Jews said to Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu, he said, do you know, leader of the believers, do you know that if this type of verse was revealed to us in our religion, according to what they say, if we had this type of verse on that day, saying that Allah Ta'ala accepts this religion and this is the only one and the endowment of Allah is upon you, and if this was revealed upon us, we would have taken that day as an Eid, as a celebratory day. So this is the day of Arafah. So this is a very, very special day. Among the merits of this day is that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala swore by this day. So when I say swearing, I don't mean insulting, okay? That's something else. Okay? Swearing by something. Why do you swear by Allah? It's when you're trying to make a point to a person, you're trying to establish something that is fact, and they perhaps don't believe you, or your argument looks very weak. So then what do? You use the name of Allah. You use the glorified name of Allah, Lafzul Jalala. You use Allah. You say Wallahi. Right? Why? Because this is an esteemed name. Who is going to dare use the name of Allah to back up what they're saying, except the one that is truthful, right? So we say Wallahi, or we can use any other name of Allah and say, for example, War-Rahman, okay, or Wal-Khaliq. Usually people just say Wallahi, okay, Wa Rabbil Kaaba, I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba. We can swear only by Allah or by the attributes of Allah. It's not good to swear by anything else. It's not good to say, I swear on my mom's life. This is disliked. I swear on my dad's life. I swear on the holy Kaaba. No, swear by Allah. To say, for example, I swear by the Quran, meaning the book. To say, I swear by the Quran Majid. Or if somebody says that I take a qasam. A qasam is to swear solemnly. To say, I take the qasam of the Quran, meaning the book here. No. Or some people, when they want to know if someone's telling the truth, they'll say, swear on your children's lives. Swear on your dad's life. Swear on your mom's life. No, it's disliked, don't do that. The Prophet ﷺ, in his presence once, Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu swore by his father's life. He swore by his own father's life. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to everybody, he said, La tahlifu bi'abaikum. Do not swear by your fathers. You only swear by Allah Ta'ala. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Man halafa bi ghayri Allahi faqad ashrak. Whoever swears by other than Allah, believing that those things that they swear by are creators, or that they deserve to be glorified like Allah, then this is kufr, of course. Like if somebody says, I swear by the cross, what they understand is the cross is blessed or has a high status. Or if someone says, I swear by, and they mention in Greek mythology, okay, the so-called god of the Greeks. If they say, for example, I swear by Zeus, or I swear by something like this, or like the Arabs used to do in the past, the kuffar among the Arabs, they'd say Wallati wal Uzza, two idols that they used to worship. They used to swear by them. This, because they believe that they are God and they have eternal power, then this is kufr. But if somebody says, swear on my dad's life, that's not kufr, because this person doesn't believe that their dad's life is divine or godly, right? So it's better not to do that. Some scholars said it's haram to swear by other than Allah. They said it's haram, but we say it's disliked, so we don't do it. Okay, so we don't say, for example, we don't say Kabe di Kasme, for example, or Quran Majid di Qasam, which meaning the book, or to say any other, because a halif in Arabic, it's to swear like this solemnly, okay, to use the name of something to swear by it. We don't do that except by the name of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now, why do I mention all of that? Okay, you might think I digressed, did a little bit. But why did I mention all that? It's beneficial. It's because Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala set rules for us. We can only swear by Allah and the attributes of Allah. As for Allah, of course, these rules don't apply to Allah. Allah swears by whatever Allah wills. Right? And if Allah is known to have sworn by something mentioned in the Quran, right, then it is known that that thing has a status. Like what? Allah revealed, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. وَالشَّمْسِ. You see the beginning of some of the surahs, or the beginning of some of the ayahs, they'll have a wow, and then a word with a kasra at the end. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. Right? And then you continue. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ. And you go on, وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ. This is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala swearing by these things. It shows they have a high status. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. Yeah? Some might say, why did Allah swear by the olive, or the fig, or the sun, or the moon? Allah revealed, لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون. Allah is not asked about what He does, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. People are asked. So these things, their status is high. Okay, getting to the actual point now is when we're speaking about Arafah. In Surah Al-Buruj, you know Surah Al-Buruj, in the 30th part of the Quran, Allah Ta'ala revealed, وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ. Again with the kasra, with the zir. وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, وَالْيَوْمُ الْمَشْهُودِ. What is the meaning of al-yawm al-mashhud? Literally the witnessed day, if you will. He said, وَالْيَوْمُ الْمَشْهُودِ يَوْمُ عَرَفَةٍ. It's a very honorable day. Allah swore by this day in the Quran. وَالشَّاهِد. What is a shahid? يوم الجمعة. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام واليوم المشهود يوم عرفة والشاهد يوم الجمعة. That's what this refers to. So the next time you recite that, وشاهد ومشهود in Surah Al-Buruj, you will know Allah swore by the day of Arafah, because it is witnessed, it is observed, if you will, by so many people on the plains of Arafah on the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah. Likewise, the 10 days which the day of Arafah is one of, Allah swore by the nights of those days in the Quran. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala revealed, وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ. وَالْفَجْرِ. Allah swore by dawn. It's blessed. وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ. Allah swore by the 10 nights, which are the 10 nights of Dhul-Hijjah. Today's the 8th of Dhul-Hijjah. These 10 days are the best days of the year. They are the best days of the year. It said that performing good deeds on these days is very rewardable, such that the merit of these days is comparable to 1,000 days. One of these days is like 1,000 days. And the day of Arafah itself, being the best day of the year, is like 10,000 days. That one day, it's like 10,000 days. It's a very blessed day, the day of Arafah. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala revealed in the Quran, إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم ذلك الدين القيم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. In these ayahs, Allah revealed that the months that Allah Ta'ala created for us to follow, the months that Allah created for us to follow, which we use to determine when the Eid is, when Ramadan begins, and so on, which are used for example, a woman uses them to know her cycle. For example, we know the ages of people through them. We know when a person could become pubescent or not. Okay? Allah created months for us. And the considerable months Allah revealed are 12 shahran, 12 months. Minha 4 hurum. 4 of these months are known as Ashhurul Hurum. And they are Dhul-Qa'dah, which has just passed, Dhul-Hijjah, which we are in, Muharram and Rajab. Allah Ta'ala revealed Al-Hajju Ashhurum Ma'lumat, that Al-Hajj, it occurs in known months, Shawwal, Dhul-Qa'dah, Dhul-Hijjah. That's when a person can intend to perform Al-Hajj. Otherwise the intention is not valid. Shawwal, Ramadan, then the first of Shawwal is also known as what? First of Shawwal? Have you never lived through the first of Shawwal? Eid! Okay, Eid al-Fitr. Okay? Eid al-Fitr. Then you have Dhul-Qa'dah, which we've just had. And now Dhul-Hijjah. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala commanded that in these days of Dhul-Hijjah that we do a lot of dhikr. Allah revealed, وَيَذْكُرُ اسْمَ اللَّهِ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْلُومَاتٍ. In these known days, they should mention the name of Allah. In these known days, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma said these are the 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah, the best days of the year. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Al-Hajju Arafah, that one of the main components, one of the integral parts of Al-Hajj is being at Arafah. You can't not go to Arafah and say, I did Hajj. No, you didn't do Hajj. You missed a big chunk of Al-Hajj. Okay? فَالْحَجُّ Arafah. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he informed us, مَا مِن يَوْمٍ. There isn't a day. ما من يوم أكثر أن يعتق الله فيه عبدا من النار من يوم عرفة. There isn't a day of the year on which Allah Ta'ala frees more people from the fire of hell than on the day of Arafah. In other words, the day of Arafah, on this day, the most people, compared to other days of the year, the most number of people, the highest number of people are freed from the fire of hell. Why? Because they worship Allah on that day. They do extra acts of worship. They do a dhikr. The scholars, they suggest, they encourage people to do a lot of different acts of worship on this day. Whether it be praying more, whether it be performing a lot of dhikr, keeping family ties, donating, feeding the poor, and so many other deeds. Even gifting to somebody, gifting to your children food or sweets or and things like that. Perhaps after the fast opens, then you give them sweets. So on this day, many people are freed from the fire. Many Muslims who are sinful, because they worship Allah on this day, it has eternally been willed. The will of Allah is eternal. It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. It's not that Allah on that day decides to forgive people. Allah eternally willed this and knows this. So on that day it happens. Certain people who have been sinful up until that day, on that day, because they sincerely worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, it may not be known to them. It usually isn't known to them, but Allah forgives them. But that doesn't mean every single person who worships Allah on the day of Arafah is forgiven. A person still doesn't know. So a person has to straighten up and be steadfast. They can't say, oh, I worshipped Allah on the day of Arafah. I'm not going to pray now for the rest of the year. Or I'm not going to fast Ramadan, or I'm going to do sinful things because, I've got my safety net. I worshipped Allah on Arafah. No, it's not like that. The Prophet ﷺ, he taught us that fasting now on the day of Arafah, it carries a huge merit. A huge merit, which is that, and the scholars, they explained, that it gets rid of sins. It erases sins from a person. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Siyamu yawmi Arafah, fasting the day of Arafah, ahtasibu ala Allah, I hope, I have great hope, an yukaffira as-sanata allati qablahu was-sanata allati ba'dahu. That Allah would forgive the person who fasts on the day of Arafah sincerely for the sake of Allah. It's sunnah to fast. He said that I have great hope that the one who would fast on the day of Arafah, Allah would forgive his sins, his small sins, for the previous year. All of them wiped out. The small sins, gone. And he said, likewise, for the year that comes after the day of Arafah. So the scholars, they said, some of them said, yes, of course, we believe that. The Prophet mentioned it, alayhi salatu wassalam. But what does that mean, the expiating of sins? Sins that you haven't even committed yet. You can't have something forgiven that hasn't been done yet. Right? The scholars, they said that they gave different explanations. Firstly, they said that it means that small sins will be forgiven. Some of the scholars found what relates to the expiation of sins of the coming year to be problematic, because it entails forgiveness of sins or wiping out of sins that weren't there. You wipe something away that's there, right? Something exists, you wipe it away. Okay? If you have a debt, you pay it off, right? Imagine someone came to you and they said, here's £500. You say, for what? You say, I'm just wiping off a future debt. I haven't given any money yet. You can give it as a gift if you like. Okay? So these scholars, they said, what are we going to do about this? The Prophet said it, alayhi salatu wasalam, so it must mean, of course, it must mean something that makes sense. So we need to interpret this to see what it means. They said that some people, some small-minded people might say, oh, I fasted the day of Arafah, so now I have a passport to do whatever I want for this next year. I'm clean for this next year, so they indulge in sins. So the scholars, they said in this regard that a person would be forgiven for the previous year. That's known. As for the next year, they said that this means that a person would be protected from committing sins in the first place, because of the strength of the day of Arafah, the blessings that pour onto the day of Arafah. if a person obeys Allah greatly on that day, fasts sincerely on that day, that is enough for a person to be guided towards the good deeds and to avoid the bad. Don't we say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah? Part of that means none of us have the strength to stay away from sin except if Allah grants us that strength to avoid sin. This is under the control of Allah Ta'ala. So there are means. If you drink, you become quenched. If you put your hand over fire, it burns. These are means. If you eat and you're hungry, you become satiated. Okay, one thing results in the other. Like that, you fast on the day of Arafah, and you would find that Allah keeps you away from sins in that following year. You would say it is a person's destiny. You would see that something was about to happen and they might have fallen into a sin. Suddenly something came in the way and they were diverted away from it. How is that? The blessings of the day of Arafah. So a person doesn't want to miss fasting this day. If they're able to fast, they should fast this day. One of the scholars, Al-Hafiz Al-Nawawi, he said that the Jumu'ah to Jumu'ah is an expiation. If you pray Salatul Jumu'ah, then you pray Salatul Jumu'ah in the next week, also that it's forgiveness of sins. Likewise, it's mentioned in the hadiths that Ramadan to Ramadan is also forgiveness of sins. This is that between them a person is forgiven if they refrain from major sins. A person prayed Al-Jumu'ah, and then after Al-Jumu'ah, later that night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they stay away from major sins. They don't miss an obligatory prayer. They don't mistreat their parents. They don't insult a Muslim. They don't commit major, not even one major sin. The small sins are forgiven. You think about yourself. You think, have I gone a day without committing a sin? You might not have tracked it. Recently, something good that's happened is that people have watches or phones or things, even rings that they can wear that would track their sleep sometimes, track their steps. It's made people more conscious about certain things. See, before that, okay, if you've never counted how many steps you've done, right, you'd probably say something like, if you're an average walker, you walk to work, or no, you drive to work, you walk inside work and whatever, you might say that I probably walk 20,000 steps. Maybe, that's quite a lot. But you don't actually know until you have it on your phone and you check it. That's how much, okay. Then you even start realizing, oh well, from here to the shop, the corner shop, I know it's 500 steps. You have a consciousness, right? Like that, if you think about sins, if you were to track, have I committed a sin today? You know what, tomorrow I'm going to check. I'm going to see, have I committed a sin? Do I control my anger? Do I pray the obligatory prayers in their times? Also, not only that, I'm not going to check only if I've committed sins, but I'm going to check, did I suck the most reward out of the good deeds that I was doing? Oh, I don't know if that was sinful, maybe I need to check. I'll ask. Like that, a person's day should be. The more conscious you become about the good deeds and about the sins, the more you actually benefit. Like the example of the steps. Or sometimes you can check your blood sugar. You can check other things, how much you sleep, how much you toss and turn in the night, whether you snore or not, right? People are amazed. They look and they think, subhanallah, that's me in the night. It's like I was going for a run in the night. What was I doing? Okay, things like that. Like that you should be with the sins. So you think, and the Prophet gave us that, alayhi salatu wasalam, to think about. But it takes for a person to learn about it, right? That he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, al-jumu'ah, that a Jumu'ah to another Jumu'ah, a person, if they don't commit one major sin even, they're forgiven of their small sins. He told us that so people would think, and the companions would think like this, that okay, so I'm going to see, am I going to commit a major sin? I make my intention to not commit a major sin between the two Jumu'ahs, but I'm going to actually actively track it and check it. Who's tracking that nowadays? Prophet gave us the means, alayhi salatu wassalam. One, it takes for us to learn, to attend gatherings of religious knowledge, to listen to these hadiths, so that then we can have this consideration, okay, let me test it on myself. Yeah? So, and now we said, these statements of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam were all mentioned by Al-Imam Muslim in this chapter. And it might be said, he said, and it might be said, if the wudu expiates, it relieves a person of sins, then what is left for the prayer to expiate? And if the prayer expiates, yeah, you're forgiven sins, then what is left for the congregational prayer? Because that also like this is Ramadan, he said, and fasting the day of Arafah, which acts as an expiation for the sins of 2 years. Arafah, the previous year, okay, so the year before Arafah, and then the year immediately after that day of Arafah. The day of Ashura, he said, also acts as an expiation for the sins of a year. And also, if the praying person's Ameen coincides with the Ameen of the Imam, then that person is also forgiven. So, Al-Hafiz al-Nawawi, he gathered together so many matters just to bring to the reader's attention that there are so many opportunities for forgiveness. So many. One might say, how would a person not be forgiven? That's when a person thinks, okay, am I doing all these things? Person thinks, yeah, Jumu'ah to Jumu'ah, okay, easy. Okay, even in the wudu, if you make a proper wudu, a full wudu, then the sins, they fall from the face, they go with the water. Person might think, yeah, well, but do you make a proper wudu? Do you make a full wudu? Do you pray a proper prayer? Do you read it? Do you recite in the prayer all of the things that a person should recite so that they can get the full reward? Most people no. Most people don't do that. So he's drawing our attention to that, Al-Hafiz al-Nawawi. Every one of those things mentioned, it qualifies as an expiator, like it causes forgiveness of sins. So if small sins are found, then these matters, get rid of them. If no small sins or major sins are found, then a person is rewarded, and by that the person's rank is raised. And he said Allah Ta'ala knows best. On this day, there is a lot of dua to be made. The Prophet ﷺ said, as was narrated by At-Tirmidhi, خَيْرُ الدُّعَاء دُعَاءُ يَوْمِ عَرَفَةٍ. The best dua is the one made. Firstly, for those people who are in Arafah, and they're in Al-Hajj, and they're in the state of Al-Ihram, where certain things are haram upon them, and they're there. You imagine, Hajj, if you think about it for a little bit, it's an amazing situation. You have people from all backgrounds, different colors, different habits, different cultures, different languages. All of the men, they have the 2 garments on, which they are covering themselves with, which tells us that they are unified, they are united in what? In worshipping Allah. And they all say, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. They recognize that all the endowments are from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and their own praise is to Allah. So they say, Inna alhamda wa ni'ma, and so on. They say, Labbaik Allah, all of them together. And then they go around the Kaaba, and then they perform as-sa'i, and they are in Arafah, and Muzdalifah, and Mina, like this, worshipping Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in this way. These people, when they make dua in Arafah, blessings descend. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he mentions that special blessings descend there on the people of Arafah. Special blessings. So if you have contact with somebody that you know has gone to perform Al-Hajj, make sure they make dua for you. Make sure they make dua for you. Tomorrow is the day of Arafah. Now, if you were smart about it, you would have started reminding them a week ago, for example. If not, then for next year. But you remind them to make dua for you. Oh, it's not the case, by the way. It's not the case as some people claim, some people who don't understand these issues. Some people claim, وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, that Allah is something in the sky. And that this thing that they call Allah, like the Christians say God and the Jews say God is this man in the sky. Some people, they claim that Allah is this thing in the sky and then it comes down off the arsh, and it comes down beyond the seventh sky, sixth sky, down to the first, and then that it comes down to where the people are in Arafah. But this is not true. Allah is without place, tabaraka wa ta'ala. So what is it what the Prophet mentioned, alayhi salatu wasalam, what does it mean, this hadith? It means that special mercies, special endowments and blessings descend upon those people of Arafah. And they ask Allah Ta'ala there. What do they ask Allah for? Forgiveness. Who is guaranteed to leave this life in a good state? Who? We all wish we will. We all wish that we would. But who can guarantee that? Isn't it scary? When you see, for example, a volcano erupt, or you see thunder clapping, or you look out into the sea or the ocean, thousands and millions of liters of water, and you think Allah has control over all of this. At that 1 second, birds are flying in the sky. At that same second, millions of raindrops are coming down. Some are trickling off the roofs of houses. At that one moment, somewhere in the world, there is a lion or a tiger preying upon its prey. There are people who are sleeping, people who are awake, people who are eating, drinking, people who are running, people who are almost about to die. All of this happens in one moment, one single moment that's going on around the world. The person thinks about that and says, La ilaha illallah. Allah who has control over all of this. He controls my soul. I want to be safe in the hereafter. So a person asks for forgiveness. We, as human beings, we commit more sins than we know. And without the help of Allah, we cannot stay away from sins. And without the enabling by Allah, we cannot do the good deeds. So we owe it all to Allah. Everything that we know that we are given and more, we owe it all to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's why we say, Alhamdulillah. Praise is to Allah. Whether we're in a good situation ourselves or a bad one, whether we're suffering a hardship or not, the praise is for Allah. Allah deserves praise. Praise is due to Allah. It is always due. Because Allah created everything. And Allah does with everything whatever He wills, tabaraka wa ta'ala. So a person asks for forgiveness on this day. Ya Allah, forgive me. Ya Allah, forgive my parents. Ya Allah, grant my offspring, my children to be God-fearing people. Ya Allah, grant them al-Jannah. What is this life? 60 years? 50 years? 70 years? 90 years? 110 years? Then what? Death. One of the scholars, he said, وَأَنْتَ صَائِرٌ لِلتُّرَابِ. You are moving towards the soil. That's where you're going. So it's important for a person to ask Allah to forgive them. And to say regularly, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Inni la astaghfirullah fil yawmi mi'ata marra. I ask Allah for forgiveness. It doesn't mean the Prophet committed this many sins. No. He's teaching us. He said, I ask Allah, I say Astaghfirullah 100 times a day. At least 100 times a day. Why? Because it raises his rank, alayhi salatu wasalam. As for us, we need it. And it's very blessed. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the one who readily says, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, or Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli, or Allah forgive me. Ya Allah, forgive me. To mean, with the meaning of, I am sorry for having sinned, for having disobeyed. This person, Allah creates ways out for him or her of situations that this person would never have thought could have occurred. And this is tried and tested. The scholars mention it, the pious people mention it. Even the people that are not pious, the Muslims, they mention that they do a lot of istighfar and lots of things are facilitated for them. But on the day of Arafah, this is when lots of things can change for a person. And remember, you might not even know about it. Meaning something changes because you worship Allah a lot on the day of Arafah, and you might live on for 60 years. And you experience Arafah again and again and again, but it might have been this year that changed your situation. And Allah knows. But you find out on the day of judgment. And on this day, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, ما رؤي الشيطان يوما هو فيه أصغر ولا أدحر ولا أحقر ولا أغيظ منه من يوم عرفة. The devil has not been seen smaller, more degraded, more humiliated on any day than on the day of Arafah every year. Why? He said عليه الصلاة والسلام وما ذاك إلا مما يرى من تنزيل الرحمة. That's because the devil, he sees the mercy that descends. He sees the mercy that descends. Imagine someone who might say mission statement is, as is Iblis's, misguide the people. Mission statement, misguide the people. So according to himself, he's sent out his legions, he's separating between man and wife, he is getting people to commit kufr, okay? He's delegated these evil things down. Then he sees on the day of Arafah mercy descending. And this person, he would think, this person is being forgiven, that person, mercy, oceans of mercy. You know when it rains sometimes it pours, right? Imagine oceans of mercy descending on that day. And he is being humiliated by that. This is going against the plan. Every time that he gets encouraged, there's so much kufr going on in the world, he is pleased by that. He's pleased that this person is becoming this person is committing kufr, this person is committing major sins, this person is doing this and that and that and that. But then what happens? So he gets kind of a momentum. Then after that he sees on the day of Arafah all these mercies descending, and he knows people are forgiven on the day of Arafah. Many people. So the Prophet said alayhi salatu wasalam, that is because إِلَّا مِمَّا يَرَى مِن تَنزِيلِ الرَّحْمَةِ وَتَجَاوُزِ اللَّهِ عَنِ الذُّنُوبِ. And he knows that Allah forgives sins on that day, meaning eternally Allah has willed that people will be forgiven on that day, many people. So he's seen as so small. Like when it's not going to plan. And the devil's situation is a strange one, subhanAllah. He knows, he's a kafir, and he knows that he's going to hell. But he said, لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, that I will try to misguide them all, except those that Allah protects. So his situation is somebody who's falling off a cliff. He's inevitably going to fall, right? But he is trying to take down as many people with him as he wants. What a strange situation. What a strange situation to be in. But that is his state. Subhanallah, if someone's going down in this scenario, someone might think to themselves that, maybe I should just, go myself and not harm other people. I'll be the sacrificial sheep, if you will, in this situation. No, that's not what the devil does. He wants to take this and this shows in a sinister nature, doesn't it? Khubth, is khabith. This shows a very evil nature, that I'm going to take as many as I want with me. Like to say, as though to say, if I can't have paradise, you will not either. Because he's been damned, hasn't he? He's been damned eternally to be in hell. Subhanallah, ajib. So on this day, a person should make lots of dua. What should they make dua for? A person should make dua for themselves, of course. It is recommended to exert oneself in dua. You might do it, you might take breaks. Okay, even if you have to go to work, you go to work, but in the morning, when al-fajr occurs, okay, when dawn occurs, even if it's like dark outside, you might make dua. You might make dua for something you really want it to happen. You want to be forgiven. You want your children to be guided. You want them not to suffer. You want them to be free on the day of judgment from any torture or in the grave, and so on. You make dua for your parents, your grandparents, the person who was responsible for you to be a Muslim. The person in your lineage who embraced Islam. Unless you're from the family of the Prophet ﷺ, there would have been somebody in your lineage who embraced Islam. Make dua for that person. What moved that person? What caused that person to embrace Islam? Make dua for that person. On this day you make a lot of dhikr. You say at-tahleel, la ilaha illallah. You say at-tahmeed, meaning alhamdulillah, a lot. You say at-takbir, Allahu Akbar. You lift your hands in a dua, which is recommended to do so. And you say, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumit, wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. That's because the Prophet ﷺ, he said that. He said, خير الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة. The best dua is the dua of the day of Arafah. Then he continued, وَأَفْضَلُ مَا قُلْتُ أَنَا وَالنَّبِيُّونَ مِنْ قَبْلِي. And the best of what I and the prophets before me have said is, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. No one deserves to be worshipped except Allah, and Allah doesn't have a sharik. There's nothing like Allah. I am similar to you. Okay? You have a color, I have a color. You have a skin tone, I have a skin tone. You have a weight, I have a weight. I am your sharik. You're my sharik in that. You're my partner. Right? Allah doesn't have a sharik in anything. Wahdahu la sharika lahu. He doesn't have a sharik. He said, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Lahul mulk. To him is the dominion. Allah is the owner of everything. The arsh is owned by Allah. The grains of sand, every little one is owned by Allah. If you want to take some and put it in your pocket, still Allah Ta'ala owns it. Every little water droplet that comes down with the rain, it is owned by Allah. Think about that. Lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumit. Allah is the one that gives life. You bring some flesh and some blood. You bring hormones and vitamins and protein and everything, and you put it together. Even if you were to mold it into a child, it will never become alive, because Allah is the one that gives life. Allah created souls, and these souls, it is the norm that they would go into the body and that person would become alive. Allah is the one that gives life. Scientists, what can they not produce, even though they produced all this AI, right? What can they not produce? Consciousness. They can teach something commands. If someone says this, oh, that means that they're sad, so console them. If somebody is doing such and such, they're being narcissistic, you need to deal with them in this way. So they give it commands, respond like this, respond. They give it cues, but consciousness, that's something that comes with the soul. Allah is the creator, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Yuhyi wa yumit, only Allah Ta'ala makes to die. There are people who have fallen off 9, 10, 11-story buildings, and they live to tell the tale. Why? Allah didn't will for that person to die. Because death does not occur just because a person got hit by a car, or just because a person got shot or stabbed. Death doesn't occur like that. Death occurs when Allah has eternally willed that the soul comes out of the body. So some people are battered and bruised. or they fall from high places, or something descends onto them, but they don't die. Although it was very painful. Why don't they die? Because the criterion of death is not for someone to be hit by something, or something to fall on someone, for someone to fall from a high place and slap on the ground. That's not what death is. Death is when the soul comes out, and it only comes out when Allah wills. Yuhyi wa yumeet. Allah is the one that gives, that makes to die, gives al-maut. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٍ. And he said, alayhi salatu wassalam, you should say, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. And then there are many other du'as and adhkar that a person should make. And the best ones are the ones that are mentioned by the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, to make those du'as. Insha'Allah, we can share some of these. Insha'Allah, they'll be posted in the community, hopefully, inshallah, that you're all a part of on WhatsApp. But then a person also makes dua for themselves, of course, and not just once, like, oh yeah, I made dua a few moments ago. Do it again and again and again. Get your children to make dua. Get the innocent to make dua for you. Those on whom sins are not yet written, and those who are of understanding. They are of the age of 7 or 8, and they're of understanding, but they're not yet pubescent. They are sinless. Tell them to make dua for you, sincerely. Tell your mothers to make dua for you. Tell your parents to make dua for you. One of the du'as that's always answered is da'watul walidi li waladi, the dua of the parent for the child. So that your dua is raised even further. If your parent is traveling for a good reason, if your mother is traveling or your father is traveling, tell them to make dua for you on the day of Arafah. Because that dua is answered, the dua of the traveler. What if it's a parent that's traveling? Even more. And on the day of Arafah, ya salam, ya salam. So do fast tomorrow. It's an opportunity that a person should not miss. It's also good to not pretend, but to imitate what the people in Al-Hajj do, because they're going to be sitting in Arafah. They're going to be staying in Arafah for a while in that area that is just outside Mecca. A person, they may be at home, or if they're at work, they go to work, but still they do a dhikr. It's as though a person assumes, as though they are in the state of ihram. It's a very special time. Okay, barakallahu feekum. We'll stop here today. Let's say La ilaha illallah and as-salah ala nabi. La ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Okay. We're also actually, subhanallah, the time is very, very close. We're going to be collecting at the back, so if you want to give your name for Udhiyah, if you want to give some money for the Udhiyah, which is the Qurbani, where you could have an animal slaughtered. Subhanallah, I wanted to talk about this. Imagine something that you own. Let's say it's not an animal. Let's say your car, okay? Battery died. Let's say it's your car that you own. Who owns a car? Put your hand up. I'm not going to tell you to give your car away. Don't worry. You keep your car. Okay? You're not walking home. So imagine, and your car makes things easy for you, I imagine. If it doesn't, you need to get a new car, right? But if it makes things easy for you, you will be relatively comfortable with your car, right? You like your car. You have a type of relationship with your car. It makes things easy for you. It's comfortable. You sit in a certain way. It needs to be at a certain distance from the steering wheel. The mirrors need to be a certain way and so on, depending on your height. Imagine someone said to you, look, we want you to give this car away. It will be slightly tough on you. It will be slightly tough because it's something that you love. You like its color, you chose it, okay, you've had it for so long, it's been so reliable. It will be difficult for you to give that away. Now, the purpose of the qurbani, al-qurban or al-udhiyah, slaughtering of an animal, is to purchase something, an animal, whether it be a sheep, cow or a camel. You purchase it for the sake of Allah so that then you can give it away. So that you can literally sacrifice it. That's what the people in the past used to do. They would breed their own animals, and then they develop a bond with them, of course. They feed them every day, and so on. And then they would give them away, and it would be tough. It would be tough for them to give that animal away, to slaughter it. Some people, they couldn't bear slaughtering it themselves because they raised it. So they would get other people to slaughter it, and maybe even shed a tear. Giving things away for the sake of Allah, it carries a huge merit. Huge, huge, huge. And sacrificing an animal for the sake of Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said that person's sins would be forgiven as many as there are hairs on the animal. That's how many sins would be forgiven. And likewise, a person feeds the poor. There are many people who do not get to eat. You think about yourselves, you eat every day. Some Muslims don't get to eat, subhanallah. So the qurbani that we do provide, the food goes, the animals are slaughtered, they're purchased on your behalf, and they are slaughtered in Ethiopia, in Al-Habasha, where there is a lot of poverty among the Muslims, of course. Poor people. So it's important that you do this. It's a great sign of your iman as well. So at the back, if you see the brothers and the sisters, they will be taking names, and these will be done swiftly. So inshallah, soon. The day for Udhiyah is the 10th. After the Hujjaj, they reach a certain point, then they slaughter animals, don't they? Like that would be the case for you as well, inshallah. It would be slaughtered on that day for you. Some of the recommended matters are that you would not clip your nails, or you would not pull out your hair, okay? Because you would be imitating the people who are performing al-Hajj, okay? Until the animal itself is slaughtered. So I encourage you. You can even do it with the intention of, if you're suffering a hardship, or someone in your family is suffering a hardship, you can do it with that intention. You ask Allah, you have this intention that I'm buying this, I'm giving this away, I'm sacrificing this animal with the intention of feeding the poor, with the intention of showing how devoted I am to worshipping Allah, and with this intention that I ask Allah that He cures or relieves the hardship of my mother or father or my son or daughter. Maybe it is difficult for you to find a spouse for your son or your daughter, and so on, and so on, and so on. You can do it with these intentions. The results are amazing. But you have to have that strong intention that you're sacrificing for the sake of Allah. Even if it is that you're giving 130 pounds, let's say, you might not even see that sheep that is being slaughtered on your behalf, but there is something that's departing from you. It's that money. You can't do that for the sake of Allah. In these special months, in these special days, I think you can. So if you haven't already done so, or if you want to repeat and do another one, then please do see our brothers and sisters in the back. Who is collecting in the back? Huh? Brother Mudassir, if you know him. There he is. No, there you are. Yes. Barakallahu feek. Let's say La ilaha illallah and as-salah ala nabi. La ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Barakallahu feekum.